Thanks for tuning in to the Animal Control Report podcast, where we help debunk the dog catcher stereotype. A lot of times people think it's the dog catcher when they hear about animal control officers, but here on the Animal Control Report, we change that by taking you inside the day-to-day operations of animal control officers. Not only will you hear stories of animal control officers, but you'll hear from industry experts as well. We are also part of the Keep It Humane podcast network. We have some amazing partners there, so check them out at keepithumane.com/podcast network. You can listen to all the animal control and animal welfare related podcasts there. And let's continue to help people help animals.
Welcome to the Animal Control Report with your hosts,
Texas Bishop
and OG Bishop. Dan left us alone again.
It's not smart. He's not smart.
No. And it's gonna be a really cool episode too, because we got somebody coming on that has got some knowledge and history that we've got. So it'll be definitely interesting to talk to her when we get there.
I know. I'm super excited about our guest this week.
Yes.
So excited.
So first of all, check us out. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know. He keeps saying X. The whole Twitter X. I don't even know anymore. Check us out there. We are going to be getting some information from you guys again. We want to look into recognizing those of you that are doing the work that is so hard. And so we are going to be looking for people to nominate others for Officer of the Year awards. So check that out. We'll have announcements out on Facebook. We'll be talking about it on the podcast. It's going to require, a little write-up. There's a little bit of work to do. But honestly, we need you guys to brag about each other.
Which we're all horrible at, as we all know.
Yes. If anybody wants to nominate Texas Bishop, let me know. I know she loves to be nominated for those things.
Okay, no. We are already awarded out for the year. May was enough with the university. No more. We're good. There are more important people in the world who deserve the things.
But we also recognize that there are people out there that don't necessarily feel that they deserve it.
Yeah.
But really, we all do. So watch for that. Please make sure that you send us an email. Let us know who's doing good in your area.
Yeah. How are things going out in Wisconsin?
Busy, very busy. So I'm a full week and a half back to full duty, and I have been incredibly busy every day. So
it's been nuts. Like we're in that season of, in between it getting cooler, but it's still kind of hot. We've been having a lot of bite cases. I mean, they've just been coming in like crazy.
Yes. You know what? Here's why I think it is. We had a super blue full moon this month. I'm telling you, like, it's a thing.
I don't know what it is, but man, it's been busy, and kudos to our staff. And my right-hand lady, Micah, shouts out to her. She's I've been dealing with a lot of crazy stuff. I was out most of the week last week, so kudos to them for all the craziness that's been going on.
I felt bad every time this week I ended up having to take an animal to the shelter because our shelter is full. So
Same.
I did get to return a puppy that decided it got brought into work. It's only been with the owner for a month. And the owner brought it to work, and when the UPS driver made a delivery, the puppy went out the door. And I'm like, really?
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. got to love it. I will say, as we start cooling off in Texas, and I say quotations because my husband is out and about hunting today, and he's like, it's going to be 85 degrees. And I'm like, yeah, with like probably 100% humidity. That's not cooler. Um, we are seeing less people kind of out and about, but still the amount of bites and just craziness that's been coming in, the calls that have been coming in have been nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, unrelated to animals, I recently saw a call come in because somebody was complaining that their neighbor's air conditioner was too loud.
Isn't it fun when you have access to all of that and you see these calls that drop and you're like, really? Like you're really gonna waste Katie's time for something that ridiculous?
Mhm. Mhm. So, well, let's get into the nuts and bolts of the podcast and introduced our speaker who gets to do something really cool.
No, I'm so excited to have this guest on, guys. We're going to introduce Genesis Rendon from the project Street Vet. We're very excited to have her. How you doing today, Genesis?
Well, excited to be here with you guys. It's an honor, so thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for
Yeah.
joining us.
Yeah. Can you tell, our audience a little bit about yourself and kind of what you do?
Of course, yeah. So, I'm an RVT. I've been in the animal industry for about 14 years now, so I'm kind of aging myself right now, or giving you guys a hint. So yeah, for 14 years already. Um, I love medicine, so when I started, after high school, I was an EMT, was going to nursing school, and I remember passing this on my way to school, this cute little cabin looking veterinary hospital, and it said hiring. So I remember I just stepped in, I fell in love with the practice, and the CSR that was there, Raquel, I'll never forget her. She handed me the application, and I filled it out, and I waited for the manager to walk in, and I requested an interview on the spot, and he hired me. And it if it weren't for Raquel or me just passing through that street, I don't think I'd be where I'm at right now. And I started with GP practices, and went to school, got my license, which is one of the hardest tests I've ever taken. And it's a lot of questions. My family even questioned, like, why would you leave like nursing school, like to be a nurse? And I let them know that we do the same thing with animals, and it's more than just one species. And they don't talk to us. We have to figure it all out. It's a lot harder. You know, a mouse's heart rate is different, and temperature from a chicken, from a dog, from a cat, a snake, everything, you name it. We work with all kinds of species, and we have to learn each and every one's like vital signs and how they work and how they do under anesthesia. So, it's a change that I love that I did. After working in GP, I went into animal emergency specialty. I grew a lot there, and I learned a lot. And it was very difficult um, to work in emergency, especially in specialty, especially because money's been a big issue in the veterinary industry.
Mm.
It's not
Mhm.
it's not cheap to have a pet, especially when they get sick. Radiation oncology, I worked there for about 3 years until I got,
Awesome.
yeah, until I got numb. Just unfortunately, you lose your patients, your love patients, your furry patients, um, and not always told because of illness. It's money as well.
Mm.
So that I worked at shelters too. Kudos to those that work there. I couldn't I couldn't do it. It takes a strong heart for those, and I'm trying not to like cry for us that work in the industry. Compassion fatigue is very real in our industry, and the suicide rate is very real too. I hate bringing that up, but I don't think it's brought up enough. Um,
I agree.
but the shelter I did as well. And a lot of the pets that were there is because money is an issue.
Mhm.
So I also have another job now where it's insurance, medical insurance for cats and dogs, to where, we can educate pet owners that there is support out there financially. Um,
Which I
so
think is I I was gonna say, I think that's kind of crucial because that's something that has been around for a long time with the
Mhm.
pet insurance, but everybody assumed that it was just a scam. I know for a long time, even I did, when it first came out. Um, and so I don't think many people are putting their money into that where it could be beneficial. I think we need to get a couple more vets that are on board with it too.
true. And that's why, my other job is my side job, or my main job is to go out to animal hospitals and educate, hospital staff that there is support out there for pet owners. Um, I've always said since I was a kid that my mission in life is to save animals in whichever way I can. And, I live in the city and I wish I had a farm one day. One day I'll have my farm. I pretty much made my backyard a farm, but I had mice and chickens and rabbits and dogs and cats and birds and anything that was a stray I would bring into my house. And I remember once we had a camper, and this is kind of what made me like, this is it, this is my calling. I found a pregnant cat and I grabbed her, luckily, and I put her in the camper. And my grandma and my mom were like going in there, and my grandma just screams rats, ratas in Spanish, like I ratas in the camper. But she had given birth, the mama
Oh,
cat, and I helped her, with her kittens, and I found homes for them. So it's just something, luckily my dad let me do here in my backyard, is to have a little farm. And any strays I would take care of and feed, and find them a home. Or when we'd go to Mexico, I would save up pesos, like money, to buy tacos, because that's the thing, you go to Mexico, you buy your street tacos. I would buy a ton of tacos, and I would just take all the meat out of the tortillas and I'd go feed it to the strays. And everyone, what's that girl doing? So my whole family knows that, the animal industry, animals is my passion. Um, and I guess this is how I met Dr. Kwan. I've always, had my car packed with food, water, bowls, blankets, toys for any pet I see of the unhoused, or if I see strays, because with my job I see strays as well, and I, go pick them up. And it was tough for a moment because, I helped with another nonprofit called Hope Veterinary Care. It was more of a pop-up clinic, where we would provide medical treatment for pets of the unhoused. But then I kind of just started doing it on my own, traveling to Venice, Santa Monica here in California, which the unhoused population is pretty high,
Mm.
including Skid Row. Skid Row is one of the biggest unhoused population here in Los Angeles, and it's not just a row. People think that it's just like one block, but it's just blocks and streets and miles of the unhoused. So, there's times where a nurse could only do so much on her own. We need a doctor um, to do other stuff. So, I would try to ask, colleagues of mine, like, can we help me with this? And it was just always difficult. Um, but I was nominated for Hero Tech of the Year, God, years ago. And I got invited to the gala, and I sat next to Dr. Kwan. And, we were just talking, and he didn't know what I was doing on the side. I didn't know that he was doing what he was doing on the side. Um, and, we met, we exchanged, numbers, and we didn't talk for years after that, maybe a year or two. And the doctor I was with, she's a Ranonc doctor that I was working with, called me. She said, Genesis, remember Dr. Kwan? who you met at the gala. I said, yes, like he is out in the streets doing what you do, but he needs help. He needs, someone to, hold the, patient, everything that we do for the doctors
Mhm.
too. So him and I met and we talked about our stories and what we do, and we hit it off really well. And we've been doing it ever since, I think probably 2016, 15 or 16, that we've been side by side, helping pets of the unhoused.
So can you tell us a little bit about, Project Street Vet and kind of what y'all's core values are and goals, for what you all do on a daily basis?
Our main goal is, obviously give the best medical treatment we can of the pets of the unhoused, but also no judgment, just help. We're really big on that. I know he's not the first, I'm not the first, where we have judged someone of the unhoused. I mean, I've done it in the past where I've seen, someone on the corner with their pit bull asking for money, and it would tick me off, like, ah, he's just, using that pity for money for himself. But um it's how the money they ask for is going straight for their animal. And I've learned a lot, and it's been such a blessing to be out there in Skid Row. Dr. Kwan and I will walk the streets of Skid Row. It's not a place that is clean or smells very lovely. It's not the cleanest place, but him and I will sit, on the floor with, the pet owner and their pet, and we do a full exam, heart, lungs, check their ears, their paws, orthopedic exams. Um, flea and tick control, vaccines is like their number one thing. They
Mhm.
love when we offer that, when we could give that. But we're doing a lot more, from surgeries to emergencies, dentals. It's helped a lot with a lot of the support we're getting from our supporters and donations. We can do a lot more and save a lot more animals. But that's it. It's We travel the streets, and we walk them, whether it's San Diego, Venice, Santa Monica. I know now we're moving to Atlanta and New York. We're getting a lot more doctors out there to support the cause of no judgment and just help, because I mean, the animal and human bond is such an amazing thing to have and to experience. Um, and those that live out in the street, it's it's what keeps them going. It's their lifeline. Um, if and I'm sorry if I get emotional. It's just I've seen a lot and I've heard a lot, but if us who have a roof over our head, and like not a tarp or a tent, we have our moments of a hard time, and we go to our animal for support and to feel better. Imagine living out in the street, like cold, hot. You don't know when your next meal is going to come or if you're even going to get one. And, you know, and if you don't have your pet there, like how do you keep going? So this is why we do what we do as well. And it keeps them responsible too. A lot of the owners that we've met, they're clean now because of their pet. Um, and they'll do whatever it takes to take care of their animal. Um,
I agree. A lot of what we don't have a huge an home population where I'm at. I know where I'm from there is a very large population, but you know, I don't disagree, Genesis. I think a lot of people when they see somebody with a pet that does is not homed on the streets and stuff, they're always judged. And I 10 out of 10 times when we come across those individuals in the field, their pet is their number one priority, and their pets are always in great shape. And I tell my officers, if you see somebody and it looks like they might be struggling, on the road, if we have bags of food, come back and get it and say, hey, do you need food? Or hey, we're gonna have an event out this way. or if we happen, for whatever reason, they happen to get incarcerated, we'll be happy to give everything that pet needs at the shelter, spay and neuter, vaccines, microchips. I would rather us give all of that at no charge rather than that animal not have any of that, to, give it a better life and help the owner out when they absolutely need it.
Genesis, you talked about you guys are kind of expanding now into Atlanta and New York, you said?
Yes. So yeah, before it was just Dr. Kwan and I, and even then when we started, we would call. I remember like he'd be on his phone, I'd be on my phone, and we'd be calling different vet hospitals like, "Hey, do you have Bordetella or distemper?" Because it would come out of mostly, Kwan's pocket, um, and we would buy vaccines from hospitals or, Drontal dewormers,
Mhm.
Brovecto or Frontline or whatever we can find, and then we kind of just started growing, started a nonprofit, which that takes forever. It
Mm.
takes forever to start a nonprofit. And it's also not cheap to start a nonprofit either.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
Which is
which
kind of
is kind
backwards,
of
but
ironic, right? Because it's going for a good cause, but yet you have to put a shit ton of money in when you don't have money. Like you need money. It's just, it's bizarre. Like, yeah. So, now that we're growing and more people are hearing about Project Street Vet, and I think, and I know the word's getting out there because of people like you guys, podcasts, and you know, just interviews. That
HSUS.
yes, it's like doctors are hearing about it, reaching out to Dr. Kwan. I have texts and CSRs sending me messages on Instagram like, "How can I help?" And now we're just growing. We used to have doctors do pro bono. Dr. Beverly Oaks in Studio City, Dr. Leach, she would help all the time. Emerald Animal Hospital here in West LA with Dr. Agahi, and then Dr. Pedraza. He's an orthopedic surgeon who would do, pro bono, help us use their facilities. But, we're expanding, we're growing. People are hearing about it. They want to help. And luckily we've gotten to a place where um, we could support more animals because of donations. And yeah, people are hearing about it. If anyone wants to help and volunteer, projectstreetvet.org is the place to fill out your application. Doctors, technicians, CSRs, we need all the help that we can get, because these animals matter too, the owners matter too. Everyone has their own story of why they got to where they got, and they also matter. They matter. It's We're all human. We all belong, on this earth, and um, even though they live in different circumstances than most, they deserve respect and love as well, and especially they're animals.
You're saying that that the owners matter as well as the animals. Do you guys partner with any of the local shelters or programs?
We have, I'm so bad with names, and I want to say it's Jackie, the brown bag lady. Uh, I don't want to say this out loud if it's not her name. Jackie. I'm sorry, because if you hear this, um, but she is. I mean, she was on Ellen. Um, I'm looking for her on Instagram. So I want to say Jackie, but I'm horrible with names. She works when it's crazy. She works on the human side. So she provides, clothes and food, and she'll have her pop-ups in Skid Row, and she's fed so many people that are unhoused in Skid Row, and she's not just passing out sandwiches. She has her team cooking outside, like barbecuing, and she'll have a barber and clothes. So we just had a pop-up not too long ago, and we were there too. So she would take care of like feeding, the humans, and they would get their hair cut, they would eat, and then if anybody had pets, they would come. She let them know, go with Dr. Kwan, Genesis, Project Street Vets down there. We had our own little tent, and I'm telling you, like, we helped so many animals that day too. We see it all: dogs, cats, birds, snakes, turtles, rabbits. And it's
The
very
whole
helpful
gamut.
when, oh yeah, it's very helpful when we have exotic doctors working with us and tech, because we need those. Uh, and it's it's very helpful that she's there. So we have her too. Brown bag lady. She
Jacqueline Norvell.
yes, thank you. Okay, so I was right. Wow.
Yes.
You're good with names. I'm horrible with names. Um, so she's a big support for us out here in LA and Skid Row. She's big. I think she's been on Ellen DeGeneres, and I don't know, I don't want to say Oprah because maybe that's just
Uh,
like, wow, she did. I'm pretty
well,
sure
she's
she
been on the Kelly Clarkson show.
mm.
Ellen. I happen to have it up right now. So, uh,
um but she's a yeah, she's a big support, a wonderful, wonderful woman. So we collab because
okay.
she sees that when she helps, she knows everyone in Skid Row. She's like, oh, you need it, Quan, Project Street Vet, you need this or that. Um, we also have a food pantry now in LA, and now here in Long Beach, California, which I'm not too far from. And we have food there. So if anyone of the unhoused needs food for their cat or dog, they just go into the pantry and they could get food for their baby.
That's so cool. We have a technical college up here that has an animal sciences portion. Um, and for a while there, they had asked me about, what they could do to try to help animals in the community, whether it be unhoused or just incredibly impoverished, because we have plenty of that going on too. Because, like you said, the veterinary care in the United States, we don't have enough vets, first of all, and second of all, it is so expensive. Um, so they had asked, and we had actually toyed with an idea of they also have a dental program at the college, and they have a mobile, um, I don't know if it's a truck or a van or what it is, but they have a mobile vehicle that they can do dental cleanings in. And I had suggested to them to actually transition it so that it could be potentially used for animals as well and be able to travel with it. Um, I don't think I don't know where they're at with that project, but anybody listening that has any ability to do that, there's an idea for you.
Yes.
Um, how do you guys manage that though? Like, because you guys are out on the road. So you said that you do surgeries. Are you partnering with other shelters or vet clinics, or how do you get the facilities to actually perform the procedures?
Um, we find hospitals or
Okay.
shelters that are willing to help. Dr. Kwan actually comes from a shelter industry too. He
Mm.
worked at a shelter for a very long time. Um, and he knew how tough it was too. Just, I hate saying this, unfortunately, having to put, you know, animals to sleep, one after another. Not all shelters work that way, but some are very overpopulated. And I call Skid Row or the street, that's her clinic. It looks a little bit different. You mentioning a mobile van, that's my dream, my goal for Dr. Kwan and I have to
Gonna
have one,
ask.
because we could do everything right then and there.
Yep.
Sometimes we'll run into, flea dermatitis, and, we want to be able to, you know, fix the skin right then and there, and wash it, clean it, or, a bite, an ear nip from another dog. So that's my goal. So putting out in the universe that I get my mobile van. Well, Con, I don't have a big driveway, but I'll figure it out. And yeah, they have a dental machine right there inside. But what we do now is just, if they're by a nearby hospital, or if not, there's times where I've taken the owner and their pet to a hospital. I mean, at this point, the pet owner could go to any hospital or shelter needed, and will they go to projectstreet.org, or they call us. Again, a lot of people too on Instagram, text us, they send us messages, letting us know about a pet owner, and then we just kind of help them and guide them and let them know where to go. And we'll speak to the office manager, and we're able to pay the bill. Knock on wood, we still keep getting support and donations is how we can do it. Um, but yeah, I mean, we had a dog who needed an emergency C-section. Luckily, we were in Studio City, so we grabbed the dog. And sometimes it's hard to take their pet away from them because, I mean, they're stuck like glue. We,
And I'm
you
sure
know,
some of them are worried that they won't come back just because you're
Mhm.
taking them, and,
Mhm.
you know, they probably feel ashamed and think that you think that they can't take care of their pet so that they're not gonna get it back.
Yeah, and yeah, and then again, they're like with their pet all the time. So we're on the phone with them all the time. But we had that emergency C-section. We went down to Beverly Oaks in Studio City, and we were able to do the surgery there. And we let mom and babies recover, and the owner was able to come pick up you know their mom. We did spay her. We also educate, you know, pet owners that we meet out in the streets. It's not always just, to treat their pet, but we're always educating about, brushing your dog's teeth, why spay and neutering is so important, and flea and tick control, and why, giving, distemper parvo vaccines very, important, and how parvo lives out in the street. So
Mhm.
it's a big education for them as well. But yeah, there's times where I want my van, but if once we get there, a pet owner can go to a hospital or a shelter, and we're able to, provide services for that.
It's good to hear that you all have those connections with, local offices and things like that. Because I was going to ask that question, like, are you all set up with a mobile unit already? But everybody visit projectstreetvet.org. You can donate. You can set up amounts for monthly, quarterly, annually. I think they're a great organization. I know everybody has heard about this organization and all the good that they do. I think my experience with something similar to this, Hurricane Harvey, which already almost 6 years ago now.
Yep.
The love from across the United States. I met so many veterinarians, so many LVTs that I still talk to, from all over the place. One particular from California. Shouts out to everybody who came through Hurricane Harvey, and just what a community of, vets that came through for Texas during that time, which is similar to what y'all are doing, and the help that they it was amazing. I have never experienced something like that. Especially from, the professionals, the vet community itself. Yeah, people come out to the shelters all the time, and we're brick and mortars for the most part, so it's kind of easy. But to see them travel, we had vets from New York. It was amazing, and kudos to you guys for boots on the ground, because I'm sure, you know I can only imagine how difficult it is to be doing what y'all are doing, out in the streets. For us, I run a facility, an animal shelter, and that's difficult. But when you piece that human aspect to it, I think a lot of times it makes it a lot harder um, in our industry to kind of see that struggle sometimes. Not that either or is harder than one or the other, but man, when I worked at a vet clinic, before I started my career in sheltering, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's really tough to have that human aspect thrown in, whether they're unhomed or they can't afford it or it's terminal or whatever. So kudos to you, Genesis and Dr. Kwan, for what you guys do, because it's difficult.
It is. It's not always easy, to see, and for me too, the most important thing again is no judgment and just help, is because we don't we don't know how they got into the situation that they have, and why they're there. And we sit also and take the time to, and they appreciate this so much, to talk to them and give them the time of day. But it's when they are asking for money, it's going for their pet. And I ask everyone to trust me when I say this, because
Mhm.
I'll sit next to them and God knows what I'm sitting on. And I don't care. I don't care. I'll hug them, and it's it's I've heard so many different stories. But one of Kwan's that really touched me too, is story is he was walking into a 7-Eleven. He saw this gentleman with his dog, and he kind of just saw them, and left. And regrettably, he says, I walked away. But then I came back, and I saw the dog's skin, and he had like severe flea and tick dermatitis, or
Mm.
flea dermatitis, and allergies were just horrible. But when he came out, he had a sandwich in his hand, and he gave it to the gentleman. And the gentleman took a bite out of it, and he gave the rest to his dog. And
A lot of times they care for their pets
Mhm.
first
yeah.
and
And
then themselves.
oh yeah, oh for sure. And we see a lot of this. Hector's one guy that we've helped a lot. He has a bad knee, and he he will walk as far as he can to get dog food for his dog. And I often just go take him food. But it's and I even hate saying this out loud, but their dogs are taken care of a lot better than some of us that have a meal on our table and a roof over our head and a job to go to. Their dogs or well taken care of,
Yeah.
well taken care of.
It's the truth, Genesis. We're all about, throwing it out there, especially on this podcast. It's the truth. It's amazing, I'm sure what you see out there, what we see, in the field or coming into shelters. I mean, the stories that I'm sure we all have, I've had somebody turn in an animal because they didn't like the color it turned out to be. I mean, geez.
Actually,
Yeah.
Good grief.
heard that, seen that too in the wet field.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's insane. And I wish, I hope that in our lifetime we get to see, our pets taken care of the way they were meant to be taken care of on this planet. You know, I know me and Dan are always about this. I'm a very glass half empty when it comes to this topic. I don't see it happening in our lifetime. I really don't. I hope it does, but I just things are rough, and they're rough for everybody, in all aspects of things, the veterinary field, the shelter field, the animal control field. I mean, it's just I feel like when we take 5 steps forward, we're taking 100 steps back, whether it's in the big pharma or in the industry itself. And the struggle's real.
Oh yeah, and animals matter, and
Yeah.
animals matter, and we need to be the voice for the voiceless. And I hate when people say like, "Oh, it's just an animal," like Pickles is just a dog. Like
No.
I want to f you. No, she's my daughter.
Right?
Oh my God, Pickles, come here. She
Are
just
you a
comes.
Chihuahua lady too?
Yes, Pickles, Mama, come here, Mama. Maybe if I start crying, she'll come. Oh my gosh, yeah. And I mean, I would do anything for Pickles. Ooh, I don't even get my blood boil. But it's animals matter. And when people say that they don't have feelings or a soul, or they don't feel anything, you don't know until like you're putting an IV catheter in a dog, or you're the way they thank you, the way they show your appreciation. And they show pain and they hurt. It's I mean, Pickles knows as soon as I'm crying, she's there. Animals are an amazing, amazing thing that we have a privilege to be and have in our life. And we need to, and we need to do everything we can for them. Look at your baby.
We
Well,
uh we have gone on a journey. So one of the rescues that we work with, shouts out to the Dog Ranch Rescue. They help a bunch of dogs from puppy mills. They go to auctions and stuff like that, and they also help us with some of the full braids we come through. But This kid here, we've gone through a journey of polycythemia, and it has been struggle. It has been a struggle. Girl, give me failing hearts and failing kidneys all day long, but this has thrown us for a loop. And finally, we got to a good place and we're doing well. But Lord have mercy, it's been
So
tough.
cute.
Thank you. This is my Ruru.
Oh man,
Um,
show you guys Picolín. She's cute. Yeah, a girlfriend of mine, she has a 2.5 pound, maybe 2 pound bald chihuahua with a liver shunt, and we get the best ones, us.
I know. It never fails. My poor husband, he's like, when we first met, we lost I love the old Chihuahuas, and everything I had when we first met was geriatric, and it was 14 plus at that point. And we lost one after another, after another, after another. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm so sorry. But I mean, it's just yeah, the things, and all of my kids, it's amazing. People don't understand what's just thrown on the streets. People will pay thousands of dollars for a dog. And, I've had Afghan hounds come into my shelter. I've had Bernese mountain dogs, purebred Akboshes. I mean, it's insane. And people just don't understand, oh, it's just a dog. Well, yeah, you paid $3,000 for it to end up in the shelter with severe, dermatitis or God forbid, heartworm disease that runs rampant in Texas. I mean, it's insane. It's
Yeah,
just insane.
seen and heard it all too, being in like at the hospital. But
Hmm.
like I said, it's crazy how the animals we see in the show out in the streets are, you know, they're taken care of. And I think a lot of time we're like, the dog doesn't know that there's a house, like a house like ours with a blanket, or it looks like this. Like, it knows the life it has. It doesn't
Hmm.
know any better, different, not better. It doesn't know any different. But they have blankets. Man, I went into one tent. This guy had an AC unit in front of his dog, and
Wow.
it's some tents are better than others. I told him, like, you know what, if I have to live out here, I'm gonna be your roommate. He had it set really well, but the fan, the water, you got, it's just, it's all for the animals. And it's amazing. But
So for those of us that aren't in LA, Atlanta, New York, I saw Orlando on the website as well, that, we don't have anything directly with the organization, but, we have an unhoused population. What are some small things that you would suggest to ACOs to do that would just be a benefit to those populations?
um you know even from the smallest, a blanket, a towel, food and water could help. I think if you guys, where you're at, you do see someone of the unhoused, and their dog needs some kind of care, is even calling us and saying, hey, I found this gentleman, dog's limping, we're here in, Dallas, Texas, or, someone calls from, Washington. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to pay the bill. But
Okay.
it's you know and it starts with this. It's no judgment, just help, just giving, asking, do you need anything, is your dog okay, your cat, um a blanket. My all my friends that have babies, they give me their baby blankets. And I was walking into a Vons, and I see a gentleman with his pitty, and she was just, laying on his backpack, and I'm like, do you want a blanket for her? And he's like, yeah, I'd love one. So I come with a baby blanket, and she just lays on it, and she starts doing like the digging, like they're trying to dig to somewhere. It's the funniest thing. Pickles does it on the pillow. I'm like, what are you doing, Pickles? Yeah, and then she just
Kitties
lays
and
down.
blankets, though, that's a whole other thing. They want all the blankets on top of them.
Yeah, so it was the cutest thing. And then the couple next to me saw that, and then they started asking me, see, now I need to bring Pickles out here. Pickles.
Girl, you can go get her. It is fine.
Okay, let me go get her. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Miss Genesis goes in and gets her baby. Guys, I think a good lesson learned from something like this is you don't know what people are going through.
No.
Our motto for our department, oh my
goodness, it's a pickles.
Picolín.
I love the
Picolín.
hair.
Oh,
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 thank you, Mimi.
oh.
Has not been cheap too. She knows I have insurance on her, so she takes advantage of it. She has not been cheap.
Got
But yeah,
another
I
one?
was listening to you. Oh no.
Girl, I got 4 of them.
And one that's not yours.
He's
Yet.
not here. He got adopted on
He did.
Friday. Yeah.
Congratulations. I have a Frida that needs a home. She looks just like a German Shepherd, but she's the size of a Chihuahua.
Oh my God.
I found her and I named her Frida because she has like this unibrow
I
thing
love
going
it.
on.
I love it.
I found her on the streets of Exeter, and it's really hot. It's by Salem, Bakersfield, like Kern County here in California.
Mhm.
And it was really hot. We chased her for about a good hour. I'm like, at this point, we got to get her tired.
Mhm.
And she was snappy, but she gained her trust, and I need to find a home for her. She's a wonderful dog. I got her spayed and vaccinated, but yeah,
Dad's home.
they
We
dump
don't hear it.
dogs there all the time in that area.
It's funny because you have it blurred, but I can see all the little bodies running around behind you.
They have ghosts. Um, but yeah, and I was listening to Ashley when I was grabbing pickles. Is we don't know the situation. A lot of people don't know the situation why they're there. A woman that had birds is
Oh my goodness.
she lost her home in the Senate. Oh my gosh, this is just, oh my gosh. I'm coming over. Pickles, you want to go over? Have a
You're
drink.
more than welcome, girl. This is
Pickles is like,
looting.
no, not another one.
She's so serious. She lost her house in the Santa Clarita fires, and the fires here are horrible,
Yeah.
and she has no credit, so she couldn't get another place. So now she's living out of her van with her birds. She's not going to give up her birds. Another gentleman, Antonio, he's from Brazil. He speaks like 5 languages. He's a very smart guy, a chef, and he was living in Venice, but the owner of the apartment or the house he was in sold it so they could build apartment complex. Well, him being from Brazil, they didn't, no, and the dog he had, no one wanted to take him. So he's like, I'm not giving out my baby. So he's living in a tent. Another gentleman we met is where he's at because of, a divorce. Another woman too, because of a divorce, and her house got burnt down. um, Domestic abuse, growing up in a abusive home, like when we meet younger people, and having to get away with it, getting away from that. We don't know their stories. And again, this is why the no judgment and just help, because we don't know why we got there. We shouldn't judge them and say like, oh, you're lazy, you don't want to get a job, or um, not everyone out there is like that. We also do wellness checks on animals. If we notice that there is an animal that isn't being well taken care of, we handle that as well. Um, there's other organizations and nonprofits that we reach out to, or that we say, hey, this, we think this animal needs to be looked at for wellness checks, and um, we make sure that the animals are taken care of too on that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. Our motto in our department is, education before citation.
Mhm.
Again, we don't know what people are going through. We're here to help. Uh, we're here to, change that rhetoric of animal control. We're not the dog catchers anymore, and most definitely, you just don't know what people are going through. You really don't.
Genesis, what was that website again that people can find you guys any information that they need, or if they come across somebody that, they just need to help?
ProjectStreetVet.org.
ProjectStreetVet.org. And that'll be in the show notes as well. We'll get that to Dan. Um, I
Yeah,
thank you
don't
for
be
coming
scared to
on.
volunteer. You're welcome. No, thanks for having me. This is amazing. I love people that do podcasts. It's like I've always wanted to have one on my own. Um, and not even an animal one. It's just which I should, but being in animal industry, but no one wants to join me. And mine's pretty cool. I don't
Well,
want to say the name, but it's just just girls talking. It's the dating here in LA, California is one of the hardest things ever. So everyone also tells me to move to Texas. Um, and it's
we
horrible.
Dan's been sending us some of his Tinder photos.
Is Dan here in LA?
Uh,
He, where's he at? He just moved.
Okay.
and no, he left San Diego, right?
He's in
Correct.
the
He left San Diego and he's up north a little bit further now. I don't know what
Yeah,
specific city he's in.
something you see, maybe him and I could start that podcast. It's
there you go.
horrible here. It's like I paid for dinners at times, no shows. One guy got so drunk I had to order Uber for him. It's
There,
bad.
there was some picture he sent with a doodle and like it was bad.
Oh, the animal ones, those were
Yeah.
very interesting. But yeah, I mean, I've gotten to a point where I even wanted to like start a dating app for people in our industry
Mm.
because I mean, I dated someone like allergic to animals. Like, I'm sorry, I'm coming home with fur and I'm gonna have a farm in my house. Like, I'm
All
gonna
the
have 10
things.
chihuahuas. And if you don't like animals, I'm sorry. Let me open the door for you. But like having a dating app of
Fur and tails. Call it fur and tails or something like
yeah,
that.
I even
That could
thought
be
I even
mistaken for
thought
something else.
That's
Man.
I even
true.
oh yes, it can. I even thought of pulse, like the heart, but
Oh, yeah.
animal. Yeah, I don't know, something like that. But even a podcast just for that because it's horrible. But
Ooh,
I'm excited to be on your guys'
pause for love.
podcast. Even how pickles,
Picolín.
picolín,
Pickles is
picolín.
like, I'm all you need, Mom.
I know
Yeah.
he's like you don't need no stinking person here with us and messing up
Well,
our vibe.
you are absolutely welcome to come back on the show anytime you want.
I'd love to.
Um, we loved having you, and maybe if you have any events that we can, help
Mhm.
get the awareness out there for or anything, definitely let us know.
Thank you.
Um, again, everybody check out the website to see where you can even donate. You can donate
Mhm.
time, you can donate money. Like Genesis said, they're making sure that it's going into the animals. And I think that's a huge problem that people see that they don't want to always donate to the unhoused because they are worried that it's going into drugs or alcohol or whatever else we don't see as necessities. But Project Street is Project Street Vet is, making sure that it's going back into the animals. So definitely a great cause. Um,
Neat. Is there anything else you would like to tell
yeah.
us, Genesis, about yourself or about what you and Dr. Quan are doing or anything coming up for y'all before the end of the year? Or, where would you like to see where y'all are going or just in the industry in itself, over the next, 5 years?
Just no judgment, just help. I'm really big at that, and you know, one of my biggest goals is to get that mobile van. I always say, hopefully, someone will donate one, and I'll fix it up. We'll have Pickle's face on it, and just you see someone out there with their pet wherever anyone lives, and if they're asking for money or if you don't have it, a simple blanket, a bottle of water, if you could buy a bag of food, and just keep it, in your car, hand it to them because it's very helpful. One thing I would like to say is it takes a lot to ask for money. It's not an easy thing to do. You have to let go of your pride and your ego, and I've done that myself where it was kind of a spiritual journey that I was doing with the group. And one of the tasks we had to do that they gave a friend of mine was to dress, and ask for money. And it's kind of an exercise to let go of ego and pride. And I saw her and I'm like, do you have a cigarette in your hand? and brand new Uggs, and I didn't give her any money, and then I realized it was my friend Jenna. So then I'm like, I just judged. Someone could have just given her those shoes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So then I did it, and it was one of the hardest things to have to go up to someone and say, can you spare some change? Um, so it ever since I did that too, it's I don't hesitate. Not that I'm giving everybody money, but it's we got to help them. We got to help the animals, especially they are being well taken care of. And you know, I have pickles that helps with my anxiety and helps me like, wake up is they need their animals too. And then just one quick story, so I know we need to go, is
No. I'm
Quan was with a lady, and she was telling him that she was going to take her life. And the only reason why she didn't do it is that when she looked down at her dog, she says, "Who's gonna feed you tomorrow?"
Mm.
And that's why she didn't take her life, and that's why she's still here. So animals are very, very important, not just because they're animals, but they're important to us. Um, and we have to be the ones that are going to be there for them. I mean, they're animals. They need the support in every way that we could give them. So um, yeah, man, animal industry is it's a blessing. It's not an easy job that we have, but it's a blessing. And I love it. I don't see myself doing anything else. And it's yeah, you guys are out there. You see an animal out there that is with someone of the unhoused. Water, food, blanket, they'll go a long way. If you feel that they need any medical attention, again, projectstreetvet.org is the place to go, and we can help animals. That's what we're here for. I love it. It's amazing. Amazing.
Amen. Genesis, you're
Yeah.
just an aura girl. You're an aura. And I'm so happy that you came on and, you're always welcome back. Absolutely. Again, if y'all have anything major going on, please feel free to reach
I
out
will.
and we
I
we
will.
will definitely, spread the word on all of our own platforms as well, I'm sure. But y'all are amazing and, keep doing the good work.
Thank you.
And, if y'all ever need anybody to talk to, we're here as well. We definitely check in with one another, because we got to. It's hard. Not a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people understand what we're going through. So we really gotta, like I tell our team, nobody knows what we're going through on a daily basis. You gotta lean on one another because we're the only ones that know.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Compassion fatigue is big, and it's like even at a human hospital, clients be nice to us because we're also going through some stuff, and then what we see in the back isn't always easy.
Yep.
Amen.
But thank you guys for this too, because you educate so many people, and for you guys, we wouldn't get the word out there either. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Well, I think that wraps up this episode. We'll let Dan decide how he's going to edit that.
Okay.
um, but as always, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If anybody needs Dan's Tinder, let me know.
What is it? Pickles, you laughing?
But as always, we're going to help people.
Help animals.
Keep it humane.